Hi, my name is Andrew Tubes. Some of you may know me as Tubes, Tube Scoops, Sexy Chicken 02, and my favorite Merman. Now today we will be viewing the forever classic To Build a Fire by Jack London. Now Jack London, he was an amazing storyteller, and he desired to be a reader and a writer. Unfortunately, he made it all the way to the 8th grade. Now, during his time of studies, he studied mostly in bars, where they were filled with sailors that told Jack of their crazy adventures. One would think that's where Jack got inspired to write most of his stories and novels. But, unfortunately, all great writers must come to an end. But Jack London's stories will never die. One of Jack London's famous quotes was, "The proper function of man is to live, not to exist." Now, that is one of the main themes in To Build a Fire. The man had to survive, he had to live, and in order to do so, you guessed it, he had to build a fire. Now, the story is about a man, and he is accompanied with a dog. The man and the dog must head back to camp in order to survive. And they face many dangerous tasks, such as deadly sinking rivers, deadly temperatures, and starvation. Will the man defeat nature, or will nature consume the man? Let's watch. It was 9 o'clock. There was no sun, nor hint of sun, though there was not a cloud in the sky. It was a summer gloom that made the day dark. The man flung a look back along the way he had come. The Yukon lay a mile wide and hidden under 3 feet of ice. He was a newcomer in the land, a Chicano, and this was his first winter. He spat seductively, and before it could hit the ground, it crackled. At the man's heels trotted a dog, a big native husky, the proper wolf dog, gray-coated, and without any visible or temporal differences from the brother, the wild wolf. He held on through the level stretch of the woods for several miles. Empty as the man's mind was of thoughts, he was keenly observant, and he noticed the changes in the creeks, the curves and the bends in the timbers, and always sharply noted where he placed his feet. In the course of the next 2 hours, he came upon several similar traps. Suspecting danger, he compelled the dog to go along with him. The dog did not want to go. It hung back while the man shoved it forward, and then it went quickly across the white, unbroken surface. At 12 o'clock, the day was at its brightest. He unbuttoned his jacket and shirt and drew forth his lunch. He had no chance to take a bite of the biscuit. He tried to take a mouthful, but the ice mold prevented. Foolishness, he forgot to build a fire. He must build one to thaw it out. As he collects the wood to build his fire, he places it carefully on the ground. Taking off his mittens, he realizes how cold it is. He tries to warm them up. Grabbing his matches out of his jacket, the cold shivering his fingers as he tries to work in the cold. He got out the matches and proceeded to make a fire. He moves slow and gentle, as though he doesn't want to mess up his first attempt to make a fire. He's got it set, and now he grabs twigs to build the fire, so then he could thaw out his biscuit and eat his lunch. He places it over gently and slowly, as though he's got enough flame to eat his lunch. He grabs his biscuit and he puts the paper over the fire, hoping that it would get bigger. He thaws out his biscuit and warms up his hand. Now the fire is getting bigger. He proceeds to eat his biscuits, and he enjoys it. Toasty and warm in the fire. He offers the dog some, but the dog does not want it. He backs away, not wanting to get too close to get burned, but just enough to stay warm. After he finished his biscuit, he drew out his pipe and enjoyed a nice smoke. The man started to take off, and he called for the dog. The dog was disappointed and yearned to go back toward the fire. This man did not know the cold, but the dog knew. All its ancestry knew, and inherited the knowledge. And the dog went ahead anyway. At a place where there are no signs, where the soft unbroken snow seemed to advertise solitary beneath, the man decided to walk through. The man broke through. It was not done. He wet himself halfway to the knees before he floundered out to firm crust. He was angry and cursed his luck away. He had hoped to get back into camp with the boys at 6 o'clock, and this would delay him an hour, for he would have to build a fire and dry out his footgear. This was imperative. At that low temperature, he knew that much. He threw down several large pieces on top of the snow. This served for a foundation and prevented the young flame from drowning itself in the snow. Otherwise, it would not. He worked slowly and carefully, keenly aware of the danger. He knew that there must be no failure. A man must not fail in his first attempt to build a fire. That is, if his feet are wet. If his feet are dry and he fails, he can run along the trail for a half mile and restore his circulation. But the circulation of wet, freezing feet cannot be restored by running when it's 75 below. Already all sensation had gone out to his feet. To build the fire, he had been forced to remove his mittens, and his fingers have gone quickly numb. The fire was a success. He was safe. He remembered the advice of the old-timer on Sulphur Creek and smiled. The old-timer had been very serious in laying down the law that no man must travel alone in the Klondike after 50 below. Well, there he was. He had the accident. He was alone, and he had saved himself. There was the fire, snapping and crackling, and promising life with every dancing flame. He started to untie his moccasins. They were coated with ice. For a moment he tugged with his numb fingers, and realizing the folly of it, he drew out his sheath knife. But before he can cut the strings, it happened. It was his own fault, or rather his mistake. He should have not built the fire under the spruce tree. The man was shocked. It was as though he had just heard his own sentence of death. For a moment he sat and stared at the spot where the fire had begun, then he grew very calm. Well, it was up to him to build the fire over again, and the second time there must be no failure. He found his matches, and the man reached in his pocket for a second piece of birch bark. He knew the bark was there, and though he could not feel it with his fingers, he was very numb. He tries to bang his hands on his legs to regain circulation. While the dog sat in the snow, its wolf brush of a tail curled around its forefeet. Its sharp wolf ears pricked forward intently as it watched the man. The sight of the dog put a wild idea into his head. He remembered the tail caught in the blizzard, who killed the steer and crawled inside the carcass,
Come here.
so he was saved.
Come here.
He spoke to the dog, calling out to him, but his noise a strange fear threatening him. He got on his hands and knees and crawled and grabbed the dog, wrestling him around. He encircled its body with his arms. He sat down in the snow and in fashion held the dog while it snarled and whined and struggled. He realized he could not kill the dog. There is no way to do it. A certain fear of death, dual in opposition, came to him. He ran blindly, without intention, in fear such as he had never known in his life. Several times he stumbled, and finally he tottered and crumpled up and fell. When he tried to rise, he failed. He was losing, and the battle with the frost was creeping into his body from all sides. He finally falls one last time. A good idea, he thought, to sleep off to death. It was like taking anesthetic. Freezing was not so bad as people thought. There were a lot worse ways to die. He drifted on to his vision of sleep. He could see him quite clearly, warm, comfortable, smoking a pipe. The dog sat facing him and waited. Later, the dog whined loudly and still crept close to the man and caught the scent of death. Then it turned and trotted up the trail in the direction of the camp it knew, where the other food providers and fire providers